Before the video starts, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Expel Malaysia. Now, many may know them for some of the best paint protection films out in the market, but they also produce excellent window tints. It not only has superior heat rejection, but it has amazing clarity. I've used both Prime XR Plus and Prime XP, and I have never been more satisfied. Do check out the website for more information on the products and network of distributors throughout Malaysia. With that, please enjoy the rest of the video. Hey guys, welcome to day 3 of the Great American Trip. Trying to sound like Jeremy Clarkson with that feel. So, we are here in Sequoia National Park. This is one of the things that I always wanted to do. It's on my bucket list of places to visit in the world. So, Sequoia trees are trees that are humongous. Apparently, some of them are thousands of years old. And it's very interesting how these trees exist, because they're so resilient they can even withstand forest fire. Even the sap itself becomes, something to damp the fire, And they should be these huge, majestic beings. I think nothing will replace seeing one in person. So we're heading to our first one. It's the General Grant Sequoia tree. Let's see how it looks like. And yeah, it's just always been on my bucket list. And I think these trees don't exist anywhere outside of America. So, it is quite a drive, but it was a nice drive. We drove through some farms, some ranches, orange farms and stuff. It was pretty sweet. 2 hours plus from Oakhurst, where we stayed. I've got a feeling that it's all worth the drive. Whoa! Take a look at that. Those are huge. Whoa! Hey there. How you guys doing? Doing good. Wow, they're massive.
29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of
These are the big
that
ones.
the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs.
So I've always been fascinated by these large sequoia trees, and part of the reason why I actually came to the US is actually, visiting these trees were actually my bucket list. Always wanted to see them in person. But the reason why I want to see them is because they have been a major source of inspiration for me. So it's not only the size and its age, because some of them are even thousands of years old. It's the matter of how they exist and how they actually multiply and procreate. So what we're seeing here are trees that survive multiple cycles of forest fires. Yeah, it's actually common to have this over here. And during the forest fires, while all the other trees would die because they get burnt, the sequoia trees, they actually drop all their seeds around, and that's when they start to propagate and start to multiply. Because when all the other trees are dead, they become fertilizer to the baby sequoias, and it opens up the floor, so they get sunlight and stuff like that. It's kind of insane, isn't it? During the times of crisis, they actually grow. And you can even see in some of these trees here, they're all quite close to each other. Yeah, that's how they procreate. During multiple cycles of crisis, they actually grow and grow and grow and multiply, right? So that sort of inspires me to take a look at business. Is when people start to shrink, that's when I start to expand, right? It's like in global crises, it's like recessions. Like when people shrink, they're in fear, investors go out and, grow. Insane, isn't it? But the feeling I get from these trees, that they are so wise and they're so old. Like I'm literally touching a 1,000-year-old being, an ancient being. Yeah, it's very, very moving. Alright, so we are now on the B roads of the Sequoia National Park, which is a great time to talk about the car. So my first impression of this car was kind of a bit of a lackluster. Maybe I was expecting something more, like with the startup, I was expecting a loud growl or bark from the engine, being a V8, but it didn't. And The driving itself, even it says there's 400 plus horsepower, but it didn't feel like it. And the damping isn't fantastic, so I guess I was a bit let down in the beginning. But as I spent a couple more days in this car, I start to appreciate this a little bit more. So with its handling, it can't be denied the car is heavy, and also you can feel the softness. It's not as rigid as it should be. Maybe because it's a soft top, not having the A and the C pillar, B pillar and stuff like that. So it kind of reduces the torsional rigidity. So you end up having to really nurse the car's weight, nurse the roll to make sure that the rear follows the front, etc. Right? But that being said, I believe this car's nature is not really a sports car. It's quite a cruiser actually. It kind of fits that. Not to saying that the handling is unpredictable. It is still, more or less easy to place the car where I want it to be. The steering feel is great. I always know where the tires are, and there's a lot of confidence. It's just that it doesn't have that nimble character that you associate with a sports car. So it has that cruising niceness to it. My complaint is that I think they could make the car better. I think they could have, like the suspension, for example. On normal speed, it's actually okay, but when you're going on low speeds and hitting really jarry, like potholes and stuff, like it just feel like this damping is could be done better. And considering US doesn't have a lot of potholes, it's not that bad. But when you do hit a couple of potholes, it is kind of jarring in the city. But other than that, it is smooth. Oh yeah, there you go. We can demonstrate the jarriness of the suspension. That's roughly around 18 miles per hour, and still feeling like there's this jolt. So you got to really slow down, for those kind of stuff. Anyways, that translates also on the handling. So when you're going through the roads and when you see potholes and stuff, you really have to pull back because you have to, make way for the suspension, right? So yeah, they could have done it better. The other thing is this engine and its drive modes. Now the V8, of course, when it's all firing up, it's really smooth and crisp, and that's the sensation of having a larger displacement. Actually, the economy isn't bad either. On highways, I got pretty good economy. I think it's like 35 or 38 miles per gallon, which is actually better than I expect, right? But there's something weird about this drive mode, right? So it normally will drive on V8 mode, which means all 8 cylinders are firing. But if you're on the tour driving mode, it will sometimes shut off 4 cylinders, making it a V4. So right now I'm currently in V4, right? And I get that that's to also help with emissions and also efficiency. But what ends up happening is when you're driving through a B road, for example, sometimes you can hear the engine going up to V8 and to V4. And when it goes back to V4, there's this jolt that the car kind of like pulls back a little bit. So it's kind of weird, and you can hear a hollow knocking sound. It's very faint, but it'll make any driver concerned, like, oh, what's happening, right? You start, feeling what's wrong with the car, but actually it's just the cylinders activating and deactivating, right? So to avoid that, what you can do is to switch your car onto sports mode when you're driving in B roads, okay? Which is actually really good. So I use tour mode for the highways, and if I'm going on the B roads, I put it on sports mode. Now it does sharpen the throttle a little bit. It allows a higher revs, but this car has 10 cylinders. Oh, there is a deer. Excuse me, Mr. Deer. Thank you. All right. It's good to maintain a lower speed on these roads. All right. So as I was saying, even if you're on sports mode, it doesn't necessarily go all the way up to 4,000, 5,000 RPMs. It's not that kind of sports mode we are accustomed to with our German cars, where the car goes like, row, row, row. It doesn't have that. So currently I'm in sports mode, and you can see I'm just around 1,000 1001, 1002 RPMs, right? But what it does in sports mode is that it does not allow the 4 cylinders to shut down. So you're always running on V8. It's less likely to enter into the 4 cylinder mode, yeah. So the reason why I prefer sports mode on B roads is during the tour mode, when you need the power, when you're coming out for a corner and you feel like getting a few more like RPMs in, the tour mode is a bit lazy, right? You have to activate the cylinders and it does it in a very slow fashion, and then the car starts going. But if you're in sports mode, the cylinder activation becomes a bit faster, and it just gives you power more rapidly, right? But what I appreciate about the sports mode is that it doesn't go in those very high RPMs like the German cars, right? You put in sports mode, it's always like, you know, so it becomes really nervous. But now I'm in sports mode, and it feels really calm and it's very well organized. Yeah. So that for me tells me a lot about how this car is being tuned and how the car is built. In mind of American roads, American speed limits, you don't have to go balls out, right? Because in America, if you want to drive really hard, you go to the local tracks, because there's a lot of tracks over there. And this car, the 1LT or LT1, I still can't get it, sorry guys, is not designed for track, right? There is a Camaro SS, I believe, and those are built for the track. And I suspect the suspension tuning, the engine tuning, everything will be way different than this one over here. It's intended, this car is intended for its lifestyle usage like this. So in that sense, after spending a week plus in this car, I actually really like it. I really like how this car drives. It's very pleasant, it's soothing, you know, and this buttery smooth V8 just, you know, makes the journey so much. Yeah, it's just that you know, that when you put your foot down, you know that you have so much more power left, right? It's a form of luxury, I guess. But in terms of everything else, talking about luxury, the interior is not very luxurious. The interior is very much scratchy plastic, hard plastic whatsoever, right? But then again, that's never been America's hallmark in car making. Their cars are more practical, right? Means like, this is the usage, we built the car for this usage. No, that's it. Right? Even the Mustangs, I've been talking to some of the locals, they are actually entry-level sports cars. It's like our Golf GTIs, you know. All right. But yeah, it's a great car. Love the braking, everything is done so well. The braking, the throttle response, the steering actually is really, I'm mighty impressed by the steering. Yeah, so accurate. Yeah, so we are now in the midst of the Sequoia National Park. I think we still got another 20 minutes left till we get to our next destination, and then we'll find ourselves our lodging for tonight in the middle of a ranch somewhere. All right.